Hello, Rebel Scientists. Welcome to Tuesday. We're going to continue talking about photosynthesis. So again, what is the big idea behind photosynthesis? And here's that same graphic I showed you yesterday. I want you to understand that that energy made by the producers or the plants is what feeds everything on our planet. The energy starts at the sun, comes at Earth, and the plants absorb it and make it part of their body. The leaves, the roots, the blades of grass, that's all storage. Just think of it as sort of a plant Tupperware. That's where they keep it until they need it. And as in this example again that we talked yesterday, when the grasshopper eats some of that grass, the energy that was stored in the plant, now it goes to his body and he uses it for different things in his body. And then so on and so forth, all the way up to the tertiary consumer. In this case, looks like a hawk to me. But, by the time he gets up, the energy gets all the way up to the hawk. There's not a whole lot of energy left, and the hawk needs to eat a whole lot of snakes to get enough energy because he's a bigger organism. But as I said, eventually all of those organisms, you see there's an arrow from the carnivore to the mushrooms, which are the decomposers. That means that eventually, that hawk died and the decomposers break them down. There should really be an arrow from each one of those organisms because that snake and that rat and that grasshopper are going to die one day. Nonetheless, the decomposers break it down, they put it back into the soil, and then the plants use it again as a fertilizer. So I mentioned yesterday, this is totally the circle of life. Energy going full circle from where it started in the producer and coming back as fertilizer for the plants. So today we're going to be adding another drawing, and this is going to be on page, I want to say 18. Yes, because page 16 are the vocabulary words you need to have. Page 17 is the drawing of the plant taking in carbon dioxide, water, and energy from the sun. And there's still more to come on this picture, but we'll come back to that. And that was the end of part 1, Monday notes. Now here's part 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to look how, whether it's a whole plant, a leaf, or the chloroplast, the organelle itself, what it is that goes into those structures that will eventually create this glucose, food, sugar, carbohydrate. All those words mean the same thing. So you're going to be drawing this giant leaf on page 18 of your notes. And you can see down at the bottom, I've kind of just split it. Down at the bottom, you have those kind of oval shaped things that have those little circles inside. And then the other ones are I think they're like hexagons or something. And then the white part is the hole that goes inside of the leaf. So let's look at the things that enter into the plant via the leaves or through the leaves. So the first one is H2O enters the leaf through the stem up from the roots. So the roots absorb the water, send it up the stem, that it acts like a straw and pulls the water all the way up. If you look at those giant trees over by the portables, they're huge. And yet water comes all the way from the roots, which are really, really deep, all the way up to the very top leaves. It's sort of like a giant straw that pulls it all the way up. So it eventually makes it into the individual leaves. The next thing that we know also, not in any order, but the other thing that also comes into the leaf are gases. And the gas in particular is CO2 or carbon dioxide. And then enters through these little pores called stomatas. And again, yesterday I said, look at your own skin. And you can see these little holes all over your skin. They're called pores. And when you sweat, that is where sweat comes out through. The oils that are underneath your skin, the oils come out too to keep your skin soft. They come out through those pores. Well, leaves have these pores as well. and they are found underneath the leaf. And this is where carbon dioxide gas comes into the leaf, the little stomatas. And then the last thing I'm showing there that comes in is radiant energy. And that is the energy from the sun that is absorbed by the chloroplast. So those bigger green little ovals, those are the organelles called chloroplasts we learned about when we studied organelles. So just in like this picture before, let me get back to it, we can see the three, let's say, ingredients that go into the whole plant is radiant energy from the sun, carbon dioxide, and water absorbed through the soil. And we can see here the same thing happens. Same thing happens on the scale of the leaf as well. Okay, so a new word that I want to put out there for you is this word called reactants. And it says in our notes, H2O and CO2 are reactants. And reactants are substances that go into the chloroplast and they get changed because of a chemical reaction. Okay, you do need to add that definition up on top of the page. But so what this should tell you is that carbon dioxide and water are both reactants. When they go into the chloroplast, they're going to be changed into something different. And we're going to find out what that is. Well, I'll tell you, what the heck. I'll tell you now. The thing they're going to become is glucose. So it's incredible. You have a liquid, the water. You have a gas, the carbon dioxide, the stuff you breathe out, what comes out of your mouth. That gets together, and with the energy from the sun, it turns it into a solid. It turns it into grass leaves and tree leaves and stems and all these other things that hold this glucose where the plant stores the food that it makes, the glucose that it makes. So to me, that's pretty amazing, taking a gas and a liquid and making this solid substance that the plant uses to feed itself. And then also feeds all the animals of the world, including you and I. Okay, so that is the end of the Tuesday notes.